Hey, I'm Gabe.
And I'm Johnny. Today we're back with another theory of Zelda.
This time around, we're gonna analyze the very interesting time shift stones that we believe appear in multiple Zelda games and not just in Skyward Sword. So let's get started.
The time shift stones first appear under this name in Skyward Sword. Here they are mostly seen as dark crystals that were mined across Lanayru Desert by robot workers in the ancient past, and when struck, emit blue light and reveal their amazing property to revert its surroundings back in time. In the same game, we also see two Gates of Time, gigantic magical mechanisms created by the goddess Hylia, which function as time portals, linking the present time of the game with the distant past. With such characteristics and being a purplish blue, they are almost certainly made out of time shift stones.
Moving forward now, we have the Ocarina of Time, featured in the game with the same name and in Majora's Mask. By its color, time travel properties, and being a sacred artifact passed down by the royal family of Hyrule, it has now long been theorized to be also created from time shift stones. The Hero of Time played the Song of Time in the Ocarina of Time inside the Temple of Time to open the Door of Time and get the Master Sword in the Pedestal of Time. That was its main role in the story, and still, it may be even better remembered for sending Link back in time repeatedly with the Song of Time in Majora's Mask. But it's quite overlooked that, when playing the same song in the previous game, you could change the location of large blue stone blocks featuring the same design as the Door of Time, and teleport Link around with the many warp songs, showing its ability to displace things across space, which, let's face it, isn't really all that hard if you can already bend time. I think now is a nice moment to bring up that the time shift stones are originally called time-space stones in Japanese.
Those time blocks may not only be affected by the Ocarina, but also could be made of time shift stones, and they have some similar behavior to the Goddess Cubes from Skyward Sword, that vanish when struck with the Skyward Strike, each of those unlocking a Goddess chest in the sky, which were also darker when inactive and glowing when active, like the stones. On an unrelated note, because it didn't fit anywhere else in the script, when both the Mirror of Twilight in Twilight Princess and the Gates of Time in Skyward Sword open, they look like a three-dimensional tunnel inside a flat surface, which may indicate that they share the same kind of magic/technology, or despite the difference in color, even the same material.
When time shift stones revert the area around them back in time, they even bring piles of bones back to life, creatures said to live for thousands of years back to infancy, and temporarily ceases the existence of beings from the present. But then, why is the hero still able to walk freely in and out of the time bubbles created by them? Probably because of the special item he's been carrying along, the Master Sword, even if at the time it is still in its Goddess Sword form. It was made by Hylia thousands of years ago and has been shown to have other time-related powers in other titles, as the key required to time travel in Ocarina of Time, and as the seal holding Ganondorf's minions frozen in time in the Wind Waker. And having been created around the same era as the Lanayru mining facility was fully operational, it's not much of a stretch to suppose it's made out of time shift stones as well.
The ancient robots say that they are powered by time shift stones, and that is why they must keep digging for them. So this implies that it is expanded with usage, as with any fuel. There are also devices called time shift orbs, which function more like a power cell, but are able to keep the time bubble around itself permanently active. The ones found in Skyward Sword are made to be inserted at specific sockets to activate larger mechanisms that extend beyond its radius of time influence. Those manage to stay active for ages, apparently without any signs of decay, and should probably not be that different from the power cells used on the ancient robots. So why did they stop working? The time shift feature isn't necessarily what makes those stones also usable as fuel. They can be independent characteristics of the material, but for how long it would last, it's unclear.
Most of the machinery around Lanayru, along with the robots, seem to have worn out over time instead of simply running out of fuel, as a few managed to keep their power, like Scrapper, the robot found in Skyloft, only needed extract from an ancient flower to put him in working shape again. The rogue robot Parrot, Servo, still sailed the Saint Sea on board of Skipper's Saint ship, even with the ship's timeshift stone inactive, much to Fi's admiration. So perhaps robots of Servo's series were more capable of self-maintenance. The only reasons for their current state I can think of is that they use a quite small piece of timeshift stone, not big enough to generate a time bubble to self-contain themselves, or the stones were refined in a way that were more efficient as batteries than time warping tools.
It's not clear who created the ancient robots from Skyward Sword. They called the dragon Lanayru their master, but so does Fi towards Link. And she was created by Hylia, and Lanayru refers to them as friends, so it could have been Lanayru, Hylia herself, ancient humans from before the war against the demon tribe, or some other unknown creator. And just in case their obvious appearance wasn't enough of a hint, Fi refers to them as synthetic life forms, meaning they are not a natural evolved species like the other races, as the oblivious medieval swordsmen might otherwise think. Some common enemies found around Lanayru region in the past are the Technoblings, who have been shown to hunt robots to drain their electricity, probably for their equipment, as their description, as told by Fi, is that they wield sophisticated weaponry created by an ancient and highly evolved civilization. Since the robots themselves don't use such weapons, it is safe to assume they aren't part of the civilization mentioned by Fi, but rather made by the same civilization, as their power source is compatible with the weapons. The closest hint we have to who they might be is perhaps the symbol engraved on the largest refined timeshift stones, looking more like a techno-designed Sheikah eye.
This brings us to the Sheikah technology present in Breath of the Wild. It is never stated to be made from timeshift stones, but the craftsmanship of mechanisms is similar to the ones from Skyward Sword, and there are numerous instances where their time-space defying properties are shown. Starting from the very beginning, Link was left sleeping for 100 years without aging in the Shrine of Resurrection. Similarly, the Sheikah monks present in every shrine across Hyrule are held inside a blue cage of sorts, preserving them for over 10,000 years to aid the hero. Link's quiet and faithful companion, the Sheikah Slate, has features which also interact with space-time, the most obvious being the teleportation feature, to be literally displaced across space, and the Stasis Rune, capable of freezing objects in place and accumulating received impact to be all released at once. But the other runes, maybe excluding Magnesis, that is quite obviously just interact with metals, Cryonis and bombs may have something to do with this as well.
Cryonis brings a column of ice out of any water surface, which could be just normal frozen water, but those blocks can't melt. Instead, they shatter when unable to keep their shape. And I don't know if you've ever seen ice before, with the global warming and all, but that is not how ice floats on water, and definitely not how it behaves around gravity. Now, the bombs in Breath of the Wild don't explode with regular fire and smoke like other bombs. They don't even explode with other explosions. Instead, they generate a perfect round radius of light around them, dealing damage to whatever and whoever is nearby, with enough impact to trigger the explosion of actual explosives. And unlike other titles where the bomb seems to cause more damage than pushback, here they launch things around them with great force, but cause reasonably little damage. The way they work doesn't seem to be from any sort of combustion, and made out of Sheikah technology, they could be displacing the space around them, generating a very strong shockwave.
The guardians that rule the kingdom drop plenty of pieces when destroyed, and they all have very interesting descriptions, being made of unknown materials, more advanced than anything of current technology, and never showing signs of wear and tear, remaining in perfect working condition indefinitely. Even the cores powering the machines are still functioning after more than 10,000 years since they were built. While this now is not any evidence of time or space defying properties, the materials used to make the Guardians, and consequently any of the ancient equipment, are non-metallic and float on water, and all of the weapons and shields seems to generate some kind of hard light to cut through things or defend against impact and lasers. All of the ancient weapons made by Robbie are said to cut better than any metal weapon, and the ancient bow can keep Link's arrows airborne for longer than any other bow in the game, with the exception of the magical Ball of Light.
The Master Sword too, just like other ancient weapons, is more effective against Guardians as well. However, here it's said to be due to the malice controlling them, and not for their supposed materials. Even though every monster in the game is also full of malice, and are brought back into existence from malice itself, after being slain and harvested for materials at least once a week. And the silver variations are said to be specifically influenced by Ganon's magic, and still don't give the sword the same bonus.
The ancient arrows, probably the most overpowered item in the game, actually seems to be a makeshift, combining a regular arrow with some sort of ancient dagger not seen anywhere in the game, tied to the tip, probably not being that useful to fight in such close quarters against monsters and guardians. Those daggers seem to have been repurposed to break or self-destruct on impact, creating a mini black hole, capable of instantly deactivating guardians and completely obliterating enemies, be they a Iga foot soldier or a mighty Lionel. They simply vanish from sight, leaving no drops behind. If made from timeshift stones, this will have the capability to warp them below ground, to space, or anywhere else to annihilate the target, or send them to another era, which wouldn't be dealing with the problem, just passing it to somebody else, or maybe just erase them from existence somehow.
We don't know for sure if the following is necessarily related to timeshift stones, but there is evidence of time and or space mechanics involved. The Sheikah research labs are made of gathered parts from Guardians and pieces of ancient tech they could put together, and need to be powered by a special type of blue flame to work. Those flames can be found on ancient furnaces close to each lab, continuously burning since their discovery. The same kind of structure can be found inside each of the divine beasts powering them. But in their case, I think they take energy from two sources, maybe to be able to keep working while still firing the powerful beam of light. Vanaboris is stated to draw energy from the ground to move, so Vamedo could use the wind, Varudania lava and Varuta water, all very clean and sustainable.
Link's Divine Beast is a special case. All of the others you must wander around their interior and see their mechanisms operating, but not quite with the Master Cycle Zero. First of all, it's too small to fit a person walking around inside. Second, it uses materials as fuel, but look what happens to them. They aren't just placed inside. There's also fancy light effects, like when teleporting or when the black cannons appear. If you remember, to unlock it, you must pass the final dungeon, very similar in design to the inside of the other Divine Beasts. This one, in fact, is the one that resembles the most the interior of a machine, a gearbox to be more precise, changing gear positions and attaching one to another. So I propose that this is the mechanism that makes the Master Cycle run, not physically inside it, but transferring the materials placed on it to this large room to be used as energy, and in turn, sending the resulting rotating movement back to the cycle.
And finally, in the trailers for the sequel of Breath of the Wild, we get to see some scenes containing time reversal mechanics, one of them looking like being caused by the same kind of technology from the Sheikah's late runes, and many glowing stones in a cave that look quite similar to the several unrefined timeshift stones across Lanayru in Skyward Sword, but could also be, although in different shapes, luminous stones, which probably aren't related as those glow in the dark and can be struck to no effect besides breaking apart.
That's all for this video. We'd like to thank you guys for the support we've been getting these past weeks. It really motivates us to keep working on the channel. And as always, don't forget to click that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video, and tell us if there's anything you'd like to hear about in the future.
If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to our channel to be notified when we post new videos, and you can click here to watch our last theory about an interesting character we found in Breath of the Wild. Or if you want a game review, you can click here to go to our video about the type in Bullet Hell, the Text Assist.
See you soon!
Bye!